Alright, we're going to cook us up some ribs. If you don't know how to cook ribs, I really don't know what to tell you. You just wasn't raised right or something, I'm not sure. First off, you got to get everything laid out. Get you some gloves on. That's right, I was wearing gloves before it was cool. You know, people don't wash their damn hands. You really ought to ask them to wear gloves. So, everybody does ribs a little different. Some people like to take this layer here off. They think that the seasoning can't get through it. That's just a lie. It's just fat. Alright? It's just dang fat. It will melt down. And when fat melts down, that seasoning will melt down through that fat and get into that meat. You want to leave that alone. Now again, some people like to take this little piece right here and they'll season underneath it, above it. This is the only thing I'm going to trim. I'm not going to waste it. But it's the only thing I'm going to trim, and that's just because I want the ribs to be as flat as possible. I don't want a bunch of extra meat sitting here holding the heat away from this part of the rib. I want them to cook as evenly as possible. But that does not mean I'm going to waste them. Other than that, you leave every piece of fat you can. That pig died. He's so delicious, and he died so you could enjoy him. Why would you waste him? I mean, seriously. That's just un-American. So let's take this off. We're going to cook this with the ribs. Now, if you ever go eat ribs at somebody's house and the dang things just don't fall off the bone, they ain't cooked. That's just all there is to it. And it's the simplest thing you can do, and it's just delicious. I start off with a little yellow mustard. I coat them. There we go. You want to coat both sides and these little pieces you just took off. That mustard's got some acid in it. It'll break down the meat a little bit. It'll help it get tender. I mean, I'm no chemist, but I'm pretty sure it helps. The biggest thing with the mustard, you get a little flavor, but it helps the seasoning stick to the meat. And you want that seasoning to stick to the meat. Because while it's cooking, if you're doing it right, while it's cooking, that fat's melting down and that juice is bubbling out of it, that seasoning can run off if it ain't stuck to the meat real good. So you see somebody put just a little bit of seasoning on something, and then when you eat it, you say, well, hell, I can barely taste it. That's because the juice washed all the seasoning off. That ain't worth a dang, now is it? Why even waste it? At the same time, it's seasoning, not breading. Alright? You don't have to coat the whole thing in a 2-inch layer. Let's get this flipped. Now, even if you're just cooking at home for your family, and you wash your hands and you think everything's good, put a pair of dang gloves on. It doesn't hurt anything. They're very cheap. And then, when the world freaks out because there's a virus going around, you already got a bunch of gloves because you use them for everything. I just rub that mustard in as good as I can. And just get her spread out on it. Alright. Now I've got 2 racks of ribs and two little pieces of delicious bacon to beat. Now I'm going to use 2 different seasonings. We're going to do one in Everglades cactus dust. This is some good stuff. get it piled up a little bit, that's all right. That's why you got gloves on. And then your hands don't smell like mustard and nasty when you get done. Cactus dust is very strong. You don't have to go super thick on it. Pat it into the meat. There we go. See any white spots, you just tap her on in there. There's nothing. You always start with the bottom. That way you get a feel for your shaker. If you wind up overdoing the bottom, that's no big deal. That's going to be down there on the grate, rubbing some of that off. It's going to drip off the bottom easier. Now we got a little on there, that's okay. You know, they put this ingredient list on these things, and they got this anti-caking agent. Now, I don't know about y'all, but my granny never cooked with anti-caking agent. Watch this. It's empty anyway, we're just gonna put her on there. There we go. So you get it piled up and you just rub it across. You just want to layer it. Just layer it. It ain't got to be super heavy. You don't want it super heavy. But you don't want to just barely have it on there either. Because a lot of this, it looks really thick, but a lot of this is going to run off. Alright. So next up, I got adobo seasoning. Now, I don't know who come up with this, but if I could, I'd kiss them. This is just good on everything. Fish, pork, chicken, a piece of bread, I don't care. It's just dang good. I'm 260 pounds, so I think I'm an expert on the subject of what tastes good. Seeing as how I've tried so much of it. Get a good layer going and tap it into that meat. Let that mustard soak it in. I like using mustard because it'll hold on to it and it won't run off the meat. And I'm sure there's other things that you can use, but it doesn't affect the flavor of the meat. You won't taste the mustard in the meat, but it will hold that seasoning there long enough for that fat to start to break down and that meat to open up and let that seasoning in. So once you got your ribs all done up, you got your little edge pieces here, we gotta throw them on the smoker. So I always set my smoker when I'm doing ribs, I set it at 225. That's That's a ribs, chicken, 225. If you ain't sure 225 is the way you want to go. It might take a little longer, that's okay. You don't want to go too hot, then you'll get burnt ends. These thinner ends on this pork, on these ribs, if you go too hot, that'll just be a dry mess when you get done with it. And this thick end down here might be okay. But why do that? 250 is max. You're trying to get it done at 250. 225, that's where I like it. If I got all day and I need an excuse to drink beer, 200 would do it. 215. All right, we're moving on to the smoker. Lay your pork out on your smoker. Now, you notice I only got one glove on. The coronavirus done got a hold of me. I'm short on gloves out here in the shop. I'm gonna have to remedy that here in just a minute. That's all right. One hand, that's all you ever need to mess with your meat anyway, right? Need more than that, my hat's off to you. This little piece here, we're going to throw these up top. I'm going to come back in about an hour, maybe 45 minutes. Just long enough to let these little thin pieces get some smoke on them. And I'm going to wrap them in tinfoil. We ain't going to touch the ribs. This is it. You season these ribs and you set them up properly. You set your temperature. You set them on this smoker. And you forget about them. You forget they exist. You go drink you a beer. Go drink you a bunch of beer. And that's all there is to it. We'll come back and see how they turn out. That is the end result. You see a bone sticking out of there. Yes, sir.